Hi 皆さん、こんにちは。Welcome to Speak Japanese Naturally. I'm Fumi. Today we'll learn how to make casual sentences from these must forms. And those casual sentences are called tameguchi, and those are used between friends in the same grade. Basically, if you're not sure when or who to use those casual sentences with, please watch this video first. So first, let's see how to make tameguchi sentences from the sentences with this. This is used with nouns, adjectives, and sometimes adverbs. Basically, you just take off this. Let's change these sentences into tameguchi forms. Basically, you just take off this, but sometimes not just like that. So I'll explain one by one. Let's see the first sentence. この猫がクロちゃんですか? クロちゃん is a name, so it's a noun. After a noun, just take off ですか? この猫がクロちゃん? この猫がクロちゃん? We don't usually use か to indicate the sentence is a question when we talk casually. So この猫がクロちゃん? この猫がクロちゃん? So この猫はクロちゃんか? Sounds very strange. はい、そうです。So, はい is うん。And そうです。Okay, just take off this. So, そう。目が黄色いですね。目が黄色いですね。So, 黄色い ends with い。So, it's an い adjective. After い adjective, just take off this again. 目が黄色いね。目が黄色いね。And ね is like a confirmation to the other person. It shows some kind of feeling. So usually we use those ending particles with casual sentences too. 目が黄色いね. Other examples for adjectives are like 白いね。小さいね。かわいいね。軽いね。こう鼻が茶色いね。茶色い etc. Next sentence is 綺麗ですね。綺麗 is a tricky word. It looks like a adjective, but it's not. It's not adjective. When you change ですね after not adjective into タメ口, you need to change this to だ。だ is a plain form for polite word です。Okay, this is だ。So 綺麗だね。And you can stop there. 綺麗。that's fine. But if you say 綺麗ね without that, like the adjective, it sounds very feminine. Even I don't use it because it sounds too feminine. Women in books say like 綺麗ね、静かね、素敵ね. But in reality, I don't think many women say that. Instead, we say 綺麗だね、素敵だね、静かだね, as the same as men say. And next sentence, はい。でも小さい時は青かったんですよ。Okay? So, はい is うん。And でも小さい時は青かった、doesn't change. And んですよ is んだよ。So, ですよ becomes だよ。んですよ is used to explain something to the other person. When you explain something, you use んです or のです in written form. But when you speak casually, it's んだよ。そう、小さい時は青かったんだよ。So 青かった is the past form of the adjective 青い is 青かったんだよ。The past tense of this is でした。And でした is だった in casual form. Example sentence is 私の母は先生でした。So it's like 私の母は先生だった。昨日は晴れでした。is 昨日は晴れだったよ。When I speak with this or でした, it's just a statement. So it doesn't matter if I have someone to talk to or not. But when I talk casually, it means like I have always someone to talk to, which means I feel like I like to add some ending particles more, like ね、よね. I've already made videos on how to use ね、よね. So I added a link to the video in the description box. So please go and watch that video too. If I want to tell the other person that my mother was a teacher, I think I add yo or no. Okay, so 私の母は先生だったの。私の母は先生だったよ。And just take off this from those sentences. 青かったです。青かった。And 黄色くなかったです is 黄色くなかった。And 昨日は晴れじゃなかったです is 昨日は晴れじゃなかった。Okay? 昨日は晴れじゃなかった。Alright, so this is, I think it's kind of easy. Basically, just take off this. But when it comes to not adjective, if there's an ending particle after this, in that case, change this to だ。綺麗だね。綺麗だよ。綺麗だよね。静かだね。静かだよ。静かだよね。Now let's think about must. So must is used with verbs. When you use verbs in tameguchi, you use the dictionary form of the verb. So you need to know the dictionary form. So when you learn a new verb, it's better to learn its dictionary form as well. But right now, if you only know must form, that's okay. There's a way to get it back to the original dictionary form. And I think this part is for a beginner. So if you already know the dictionary form of verbs, skip this part to this part, okay? First of all, you need to know that all verbs are categorized into 3 groups. You have to tell which verb with must goes into which group. So first, let's categorize. When a vowel before must is E, it belongs to group 1. Of course, there are exceptions, but right now, let's not think about the exceptions, okay? So if a vowel before must ends with these, those are group 1 verbs. For example, 書きます, 書きます. So ki is here. So it's a group 1 verb. And 読みます, me here. So it's a group 1 verb. And other things are, for example, 飲みます, 飲みます, me, and 遊びます, 遊びます, b, e, e, okay? The vowels are all e here. And the way to get the dictionary form of the verbs in group 1 is to change the hiragana before mas into ukolon hiragana. So, 書きます, 書きます, ki, so 書く, ku. Okay, it's ukolon. 書く. And 読みます, 読みます is 読む, 読む. So now I have a question. What's the dictionary form of the verb 飲みます? Okay, 飲みます. Okay, so 飲み is here. So it's 飲む, 飲む. How about 遊びます, 遊びます. Okay, so be is here. 遊びます. So 遊ぶ, 遊ぶ, 遊ぶ. So now let's move on to group 2 verbs. When the vowel before must is it belongs to group 2. So for example, 食べます, 食べます. So it's group 2. And 寝ます, 寝ます. And 見えます, 見えます, 見えます. And 聞こえます, 聞こえます, 聞こえます. And when you change those group 2 verbs into the dictionary form, it's easy. You change must into る. 食べます is 食べる. 寝ます is 寝る. And what's the dictionary form of 見えます? 見えます. Yes, it's 見える, 見える, 見える. I can see. And how about 聞こえます? 聞こえます. Yes, it's 聞こえる, 聞こえる. I can hear, okay? But there are some exceptions which you need to remember. 5 verbs for beginners, okay? Those are います to be, 見ます to see, 起きます to get up, and 借ります to borrow, and 降ります is to get off. So the vowel before must is E in those verbs, but these are group 2 verbs. So you just change must into る。います is いる。見ます is 見る。and 起きます is 起きる。and 借ります is 借りる。and how about 降ります Yes, it's 降りる。So right now, please remember these five, and of course, there are more exceptions. When you remember new verbs, just remember their dictionary forms too. Now, let's move on to group 3 verbs. There are only 2 verbs 来ます to come and します to do. Okay, the dictionary form of 来ます is 来る Okay, and します is する Nouns with します such as 勉強します to study or 料理します to cook are included in this category. So their dictionary forms are 勉強する and 料理する。Okay, so now let's speak タメ口 with verbs. So for example, 今日会社に行きますか？はい、行きます。Okay, so can you change it to the dictionary form? How do you change this into タメ口? Okay, 今日会社に行きます is 行きSo change this き to く So 今日会社行く When you speak casually, particles such as わがに are often omitted. And as I said when I explained about ですか Again here, we don't use か so often. So 今日会社行く And the answer is 行くSo hi is and 行きます is 行く How about this one? これ食べますか？はい、食べます。いいえ、食べません。Okay, so これ食べます。食べるこれ食べる食べる。When it comes to a negative form, we use the ない form. So it's 食べない。So you need to know ない forms too. So you need to know all the verb conjugation. いいえ is いいえ食べません is 食べない。食べない。食べない。Let's practice saying this. これ食べるこれ食べる食べる。食べる。食べない。食べない。Be aware of the intonation and pitch accent too. Alright, the next sentence. 今日飲みに行きませんか？いいですね。行きましょう。いいですね。行きましょう。I think this is a little bit difficult. Okay. is usually ね in casual form. ねえねえ。ねえ。Men might say な。ません is ない、right? ない form. So it's 行かない。and に can be omitted. So 今日飲み行かないねえ、今日飲み行かないand いいですね。いい is いい adjective. So just omit this. いいね。and 行きましょう becomes 行こう using the volitional form. 行こう。Alright, so you need to know the conjugation. And if you don't know how to conjugate verbs, I have a video about that. And so I added the link to the video in the description box too. The negative form of the verb ある is ない. And ない is actually an adjective. So this one, 今お時間ありますか？すみません。今は時間がありません。後ででもいいですか？ Okay. あります is あり so it's a group 1 verb and it's the dictionary form of あります、is ある。Okay, so 今時間あるですみません is ごめん in the casual speech ごめん今時間ない so ありません is ない今時間ない後ででもいいいいですか is いい後ででもいい and the past tense of ます is ました、and in a casual form you use the た form これどこで買いましたかこれどこで買った and でいます becomes てる so you don't say い when you speak casually. E is omitted. For example, 今何してますか is 今何してる今何してる And other casual expressions are てしまう becomes ちゃう and という becomes ていう You can be omitted. 桜はすぐ散ってしまうと思います is 桜はすぐ散っちゃうと思う桜は1週間前に散ってしまいました is 桜は1週間前に散っちゃった1週間前に散っちゃった And 桃太郎というお話を知っていますか is 桃太郎って話知ってる桃太郎って話知ってる You can say 桃太郎っていう話知ってる Okay, so you can be omitted and also the particle o can be omitted here too. I think this video is getting long, so we finish now today. But if you just finish sentences with those plain form, it sometimes sounds cold. So we use a lot of ending particles. Okay, so ending particles shows our feelings, added some feelings to the sentence. And when we use casual language, we are talking to somebody close. So I think we show our feelings more than we are talking with desu or masu. I'd like to tell you about those ending particles in the next video. So stay tuned. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye!